Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be pulling 3 more themes for the NaNoWriMo journey that you are on, and this will help you develop side stories, help you develop characters who may have gone flat, perhaps inject some life into something, and if for some reason you've run completely out of ideas for your NaNoWriMo, you can use these 3 themes to build a memoir piece or a short story or a character sketch that you can then turn into something larger, so a screenplay or maybe a novel or something to that effect. So with that, I'm going to get started. And the first theme is going to be initiative. The second theme is subtlety. And the third theme is unity. And so when we look at these themes, again, unity, subtlety, and initiative, one of the themes that pops out to me is subtlety, because again, I like to think of these things in terms of their ability to be character traits, right? Unity is actually a goal, but subtlety, and its opposite, sort of the lack of subtlety, this sort of, people who just are too blunt. We can think about subtlety as a character trait in a story. So if you have a character who just sort of sits in the background, right, and does absolutely nothing. And Shakespeare has these characters. They're usually the fools who are subtle in the background. They do their job. They're just, hey, I'm here to make the king happy. Yay, yay, yay. And they're being really subtle about it, right? And so in the end, though, they always have this one little statement that turns the whole house on its head. And the funny thing about fools and jesters and people who spend way too much time around the king is that they eavesdrop on stuff. And so they hear everything and they feel things and they perceive things and they act things out. And so the idea behind those types of characters is that they're very subtle, because what people don't know about them is that they pay attention. And so you can have a subtle character who does very little throughout the whole thing, being the observer in the background, being very subtle, being very nondescript, hiding in the back corner somewhere. Suddenly, within a story, takes the initiative, this moment of great action, right? Just moves forward, just takes the reins and goes forward and sets forth in order to generate unity, right? So how can you create that unity? And that's going to be your charge. So again, it could be this jester who's a very subtle character, or an earl who never speaks at a table, right? Being very subtle about stuff, suddenly taking the initiative because the kingdom is falling apart, or their particular section, their little section that they're in charge of, their little county that they're in charge of is falling apart. And they're being very subtle, but they can't be subtle anymore because they're being taken advantage of. So that earl takes the initiative to try to bring back unity between the warring counties that are trying to invade his county or her county. So that's one way of looking at this. So again, the themes for today are unity, subtlety, and initiative. And so I hope that you can use these to help develop a side story, inject some life into a character, perhaps create a secondary short story that you can use, or a character trait or a character sketch, because again, these can also talk about a moment in your life, perhaps, where you needed to bring about unity through subtlety and initiative. You could also do it that way. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. You have a lot of writing to do, so I'm going to let you go, and I will see you in the next video.